We are relating science to the society. My name is Patience Colley, a level 300 student from the Integrated Science Department, and I am here with my co-host,
Dr. John, a level 300 Integrated Science Education student.
This is Radio Windy B 98.3 FM, your ultimate campus radio. And don't forget, we are also live on Facebook at Radio Windy B 98.3. You can join the live stream, like, share for others to also join. And you can also leave your comments. Later, we will read them for you. You can also call the studio lines at the right time to comment, suggest, and ask any questions pertaining to this program. This program is brought to you by the Academic Committee of the Association of Integrated Science Education Students, ACES. Welcome to another exciting episode of Science Focus, your go-to program for the latest and most intriguing topics in science. Waste management is a critical issue that affects our environment, health, and economy. Every day, individuals, businesses, and industries generate tons of waste, and how we handle this waste determines the quality of our surroundings. Poor waste management leads to pollution, climate change, and health risks, while effective waste management creates cleaner communities and sustainable living conditions. Today, we will discuss the challenges, solutions, and the role of individuals and institutions in managing waste effectively. We are honored to have two lecturers in the studio here with us, one from the Integrated Science Department and one from the Environmental Science Department. We are grateful to have you here. So help me welcome in the studio Dr. Stephen Chumesi Anan, a lecturer from the Integrated Science Department. Doctor, please, you are welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, and the second lecturer is in the person of Dr. Felix Kabute Tete, a lecturer from the Environmental Science Department. Doctor, please, you're also welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so today we'd like to talk about waste management, how it affects our daily lives, individuals, and the society as a whole. So without wasting much time, Doc, please, can you tell us what waste management is and why it is important for we?
Okay. Good evening to your cherished listeners. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
You're welcome.
Good. Before we talk about waste management, we need to understand what is meant by waste itself.
Sure.
And when you know the waste, then you know how to manage that particular waste.
Yeah.
And waste, when you talk of waste, a material or objects that are discarded in the environment, things that we no longer need after its usefulness have been taken away. And it is found in our environment. Now, this waste can be managed in 4 stages.
Okay.
First, you need to collect it. So we have collection. Then after you collect the waste, you need to transport it.
Okay.
Then after it is transported, you need to treat it. Then after treatment, then you dispose it.
Okay.
So these are the 4 major key areas that waste can be managed.
Okay.
But in our daily life, we try to omit one. And the one we normally omit is the treatment. As for the collection, we do. Transportation, we do it. But we sometimes skip the treatment, which is the most important thing. Then we end it with the disposal. So if the waste is not treated and it is disposed in the environment, you can actually see the consequences, especially if that waste is very poisonous or contagious. So in short, that is what I can say about the waste management.
Oh.
I think my brother can also add that.
Okay, Dr. Felix.
Yes, in addition to what he just said, we go through all these phases in managing waste. But the critical one that we always tend not to pay much attention to is the treatment and then converting it to other use.
Okay.
Reuse, recycling, and the rest.
Okay.
And why don't we do this? We are not able to do this because of the financial constraints and the initial cost for facilities for the treatment of waste, and then the logistics and the money involved. Okay. That is what is preventing us from managing waste properly.
Okay, thank you very much. So, talking about waste are materials which are discarded in the environment, like materials which are no longer in use and are discarded in the environment. And we have 4 main stages of waste management, which is the collection, the transport, the treatment, and the disposal. But emphasis is made on the treatment, that we don't normally treat waste properly due to some financial constraints. Okay, thank you very much, Doc.
Okay, Doc, thank you so much for your powerful submission. Just about last 2 weeks, I actually went to Accra at a program. So I finished taking a bottle of water and I decided to dump it in a dustbin, a nearby dustbin. So they were like, that shouldn't be dumped over there. So I was very much surprised about that. So the question is, what are the major types of waste that we have and how are these waste handled or disposed?
Okay, thank you for your question. There are so many types of waste. In fact, waste itself is a resource. And when I say resources, they are natural occurring substances that are used to meet our needs.
Okay.
So every material that we term as a waste is a resource. It becomes a raw material to another industry.
Okay.
Right, so we have household waste, or what we call the domestic waste. That's the waste that is generated from our house after we cook and the rest. Then we have the industrial waste, waste that we obtain from the industry, building constructions, chemical industries, and the rest.
Okay.
Then we can also talk of agricultural waste, waste that we obtain from agricultural activities, such as maybe the manure, pesticides, herbicides, rotted fruits, and others.
Okay.
Then we have hazardous waste. These are toxic chemicals that are released into the environment. It can be electronics or the batteries that we even use. We throw them on the environment. It has that kind of hazardous substances that can cause serious and environmental consequences. Then we have biomedical waste. Waste that is obtained from the hospital and some of the pharmaceutical industries. And we know some of the waste that we obtain from the hospital, medical, healthcare, and others.
Okay.
Waste from surgery, cancerous wounds, and others. All these wastes are found in the environment. And as I said, if you don't treat it very well and release these cancerous wounds or some of these surgical materials in the environment, you see the end consequences. Then we also have the electrical, or what is called the e-waste. Okay. Waste that is obtained from electronic materials.
Okay.
Or your used phone, TV sets that is no more needed, batteries and others. So computer, when all these things are not working and we dump them in the environment, they are also classified as a waste.
Okay.
So these are some of the types of the waste. But with these types, you can still categorize them into either solid, liquid, or gas, depending on how you see it. Okay. If it's a solid waste, then you can easily get rid of it. It's a tangible materials. Okay. You can easily collect them. If it is liquid, in a fluid form. But when it is gas, it's a little difficult to control gaseous waste.
Okay.
Do you get it? All right. Maybe Dr. Kabute can also add that to it.
Okay, so thank you very much. So Dr. Chumesi just made mention of some major types of waste we have. So we have the domestic waste, which is collected from our household, the industrial waste, which is from the industries, the agricultural waste, the biomedical waste, hazardous waste, and electrical waste. And also talking about these types of waste, they are categorized into 3 types, which is how they are disposed of. That's a solid, liquid, and gas. So solid and liquid waste are disposed of easily as compared to the gaseous waste. Okay.
Okay, Doc, thank you so much for that powerful submission. In your preliminary submission, you mentioned that during the waste management process, emphasis are not placed on the treatment stage. So the question is, what are some of the biggest waste management challenges in our communities?
Okay. Right.
Thank you. Challenges of waste management in our community. Firstly, I'll say education, in the sense that we commonly say, what is the use of Zoomlion, right? If you dump refuse or something somewhere and you're asked to pick it up, you say, most people, what they say is, but what's the work of the Zoomlion? Right?
Yes.
Which is not the best, because you are not supposed to be dumping waste anywhere at all, right? So the mindset and education, we need to let our people, the people in the community, know that yes, what you have is waste, but you can dispose it of properly, rather than just leaving it anywhere at all, dumping it anywhere at all. Especially during this time of the rainy season, people carry waste from their homes and they throw them into the drains and then the water bodies, which is not the best, right? So education. 2, provision of infrastructure. We are not talking of huge infrastructure here. Infrastructure we are talking about is dust bins, waste bins. Provision of these waste bins at vantage points, such that when you have waste, you know where to dispose it of, right?
Okay.
So, for example, from the roundabout way through to the north or south campus, you will not even find a single waste bin along the road. So, what happens to an individual who is carrying waste, right? So, it is incumbent on us to also provide waste treatment facilities, right? Or this infrastructure around, so that people, it should be handy such that people can easily dump the waste in there, right? I don't know whether Steve can also add some more.
Yes. So just to add up to what Dr. Kabute just said, population increase is also a challenge. Now, when population increases, you know the end result of the population. Ghana population is almost about 35 million. Getting to the middle of this year, we will reach 35 million, which is almost about 0.43% of the world population. So when population increases, waste is also generated.
Sure.
And there was a man by name Robert Thomas Malthus. In his theory, he stated that if you don't check population will check itself.
Sure.
So if population increases, and as a result of the increase of the population, we don't manage our waste very well, we will end up killing ourselves. Because the environment will be filthy, since we are not willing to control or keep the environment clean. So population increase is one of the major challenges with regards to waste management.
Okay.
And then attitudinal change and then behavior. Some people have it in mind that I don't care. We have what is called NIMBY syndrome. Not in my backyard. Okay. I don't care. It doesn't concern me. I'm not in charge. Somebody is paid to control the waste. If I don't make the environment dirty, how would a person get work to do? And this is what we all do. So somebody will have a dustbin and still dump the waste outside.
Sure.
So our attitude towards waste management is something that we need to work on it. And then we have something called regulatory framework. We don't see people littering as a major offense, just like somebody who will go to rape or who will commit a murder issue. So when somebody dump or throw any rubbish somewhere, we don't see it as an offense. But until we see that as an offense, we will continue to dump waste indiscriminately. So a time will come whereby we can practice what is called polluter pay principle. So if you are willing to pollute, then you should be willing to pay for the consequences that you are bringing to the environment.
Okay.
So as Dr. Kabute said, limited infrastructure. Sometimes we can also have inadequate technological innovation. We lack that innovative way of reusing our material into another purpose. So these are some of the challenges that we normally encounter when it comes to management of waste. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Doc, for this wonderful submission. So talking about these waste management challenges, talking about the insufficient education, inadequate infrastructure, and the human attitudinal changes. So are there some ways that this waste disposal can affect the human health and the environment as a whole?
Rightly so. As Doc mentioned, the categories or the types of waste. Let's take, for example, the hazardous waste.
Okay.
Waste from industries or waste from the hospitals, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's treated, you are...
The gloves.
Yeah, the gloves, the injection, right? And then, those days we used to play with these syringes and those things. And
Yeah.
these are very dangerous. So now most health facilities have infrastructures like the incinerators in these facilities that do treat this waste. But what of our households and the other things that we use in our homes, right? The detergents, the other stuff that we use. Some are also dangerous to the health. And that when we are exposed to much of those things, they have effect on us, right? The paints we use in painting our homes, right? The mosquito sprays, the cans, and all those things, right? The batteries we use in our phones, right? The dry cells, all those things are very dangerous. That if you don't dispose them off properly, it will harm us.
Okay.
Okay,
Right,
so
sure.
probably just to add up to what Dr. Kabute just said, if you don't manage waste properly, it will lead to visual intrusion. That is what we term it as an eyesore.
Okay.
There are some people who don't want to see things that are filthy. When they see, they become allergic to it and they react.
Sure.
Especially you ladies, when you even go to the bathroom and you see just a worm, you see the way your skin begins to irritate you.
Yeah.
So, and if you don't manage waste also very well, you have a lot of pathogenic organisms being produced. Some of these house flies and termites or whatever, cockroaches and others, mouse, you don't know where they come from. Sometimes, if you look at where they are coming from to your house, you'll be surprised. They come and walk over your utensils, they come and walk over your food, and the next day you are eating. So if you don't manage waste properly, these are some of the effects. Then if you go to the market areas, you see a heap of waste in a dustbin or a container, and you see some liquid draining out of it.
Yeah.
That is called the leachate. That leachate is very poisonous. And you see some of the market women spreading their vegetables on the ground. And we go to buy them. You see tomatoes, garden eggs, yam, tubers, and others heaped close to where these leachates are found, which is very contagious. It contains series of microorganisms that are not supposed to be handled. So when waste is not managed very well, as I said, if you don't control population, the population will control itself.
Sure.
So if we keep on dumping this waste indiscriminately as a result of population increase, we will end up getting infected diseases, and then definitely we will die naturally by ourselves through some of these activities. So that's okay.
Thank you very much, Doc. So, talking about some challenges or some effects of improper waste disposal, it can lead to visual intrusion, that's the eyesore, and also we the humans ourselves, we can get infected by certain diseases. Okay, very noted.
Okay, Doc, thank you so much once again. So the next question is, what is the role that individual can play in reducing and managing waste?
Very well. Individuals, homes, the whole community, we all have roles to play in managing waste within our community.
Okay.
At the individual level, we can avoid waste totally. That's, for example, if you go to the market, you buy anything you buy, you is placed in a polythene bag. You can avoid that by just having a bag that when you go to the market, those days before, our parents have bags, right, that they carry to the market. They buy their stuff and they put everything in a bag.
Sure.
But now you go to the market, everything you buy is placed in a polythene.
Polythene bag. Yeah.
So we can avoid this by not, whenever you buy, you have your basket and you put everything in it, or you just get one polythene bag and everything is placed in there at the individual level. Or probably you can also, once you create waste in your home, you put everything together. Now we know the plastic, the pure water bottle, paper, the rubbers have been sold.
Yeah, sure.
Right, so you can gather that one in your home. The bottles also you can gather them, put them together, and then you sell at the individual level. Then also you should be conscious of yourself that waste, when just thrown about, is an eyesore, can lead to other things. So you control how you throw waste. You can keep your waste in your bag. When you get home, then you dump it.
Okay.
Right? Then at the household level, which there's a need for the provision of cans and dustbins.
Sure.
It's not necessarily going for the Zoomlion bin, but you can create a bin for yourself at home where you put all the waste together, and then these young men that come around with the tricycle, just give it to them, and then they will just go and then deposit it at the where it's supposed to be deposited. Then at the community level, we all need to come together, like formally how we go for communal labor, cleaning our communities, and then the provision of community bins where you can dump your waste and then it will later on be collected.
Okay.
And then also the enforcement of the bylaws on waste. Formerly, our parents, those days, when they hear tankers is coming, everybody
run away.
Yes. But now they are no longer around.
Yes.
We don't see them in our communities as we used to see them. So there is a need to bring back that concept where the community and then the areas we find ourselves, we cater for the waste, and then we obey the bylaws within those communities to keep our communities clean.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kabute. Yeah, please. Can you add
so
something?
just to add a few to it, so individually we can also practice the principle of either 3 hours or 4 hours. And that means you either reduce the waste, you reuse, and then you recycle. And that will give you the 3 hours.
Okay.
If the 4 hours, you recover. So for the reduction, those who produce items for us to buy should try to reduce the amount of waste that they add to the products that we go and buy. For instance, you go and buy takeaway pack and you come home with a lot of waste.
Yeah.
The pack itself is a waste. The polythene
It's a
bag
waste.
is a waste.
The spoon.
Inside the pack, there is another small container with the shito or vegetable is a waste. The rubber band is a waste. The spoon
It's a waste.
is a waste. The tissue paper, though decomposing, is a waste. So if you have 4 of this takeaway food in your house, your dustbin is 4.
Okay.
So those who manufacture some of this or those who prepare some of this product for us to buy should reduce some of these wasteful materials, so that when we buy them, we don't carry more waste into our homes.
Okay.
I hope you are getting
Yes,
it.
please.
So
Okay.
that's it.
Thank you, Doctor. So please, we have a question here from one of our viewers. This is coming from Gertrude Nyantechiwa Afolendek. She says, please, talking about the mouse and cockroach. I don't have waste around my house, and my room is well kept, but they are here plenty, sharing the room with me. How do I manage them?
Rodents, insects, yes, they move, and usually they want places where there is warmth, warm, right? So probably, and then also where you have dirty clothing and stuff that are packed. So probably, if she can see to cleaning or clearing of a room, then probably cleaning around the household. This will also get rid of some of these rodents and other things.
Thank you. So, Ms. Getty, please try and see if you don't have some clothes which are packed there. You have to take care of them.
Yeah, but I'm sure Getty will have some materials that are inviting those.
I'm sure Getty, yes.
Organisms, so she has to take time and deal with them.
This is coming from Charles Boateng. He says, "Happy birthday to you, dear Paita." Thank you, Charles. This is also coming from Gertrude again. She says, "Happy birthday to you, dear host, Vice President of ACES, Patience Colley." Thank you, Ms. Getty. Rita Kobna says, "Happy birthday, ACES Vice President of ACES." Thank you, Ms. Rita. This is also coming from Getty again. She says, "Please, what is the simplest way I can recycle sachets of water?" So she wants to know the simplest way she can recycle her sachets of water.
Sachets of water can be used for bags, right? To sew a bag, for use by students. Then it can be used for slippers, right? And other artifacts.
Okay. So another question here. She says, "I usually put my little waste, such as water sachets and biscuits, in my bag until I find a bin. But my friend Paita says it doesn't make me a lady. Is that true?" So in your submission, you made mention that sometimes we have to keep the waste. Maybe when we use the sachet water or biscuits, we keep them in our bags before we get a bin and we dispose them. But her friend says it doesn't make her a lady. So how does she go about that?
Yeah. I think, in fact, it's not easy to be keeping some of this sachet water in your bag, especially if you don't drain all the water. It can wet the materials that you have in your bag. So that is why it's one of the challenge, that if you are to get bins nearby, such a student or a person will not be putting that material in a bag for so long. Within some few meters, the person might encounter some of these bins and then you dispose of. So you are still a lady, please. Don't worry about it. Manage it well so that it doesn't disturb the items in your bag.
Okay, Ms. Getty rightly said. So this is still coming from Newman Ranspanzi. He says, "Great presentation. Happy birthday to Madam Vice President." Thank you, Mr. Newman. Getty once again is asking, "Can naphthalene ball manage these insects?" So talking about the rodents in her room, can naphthalene ball manage them?
I don't think so. Naphthalene balls alone cannot do the trick. Probably you can get some insecticides and then those other pesticides for the rodents and the other things. That should work.
Okay. Ms. Getty, please, you answered. So you can't use naphthalene ball to manage the insects and cockroaches in your room. Please get pesticides. Last message coming from Yoda. He says, "I'm Yoda Ilyasu Prince from ACES, Deputy Organizer of ACES and Organizer of Ibadur Rahman Mosque. I'm grateful for today's education, and I will never forget your lovely education for today." Thank you, Mr. Yoda. Okay, so Doc, please, our time is fast spent, so we'd like you to tell us any final words of advice on managing waste as a priority in our daily lives. Any advice for the listeners out there on how to manage their waste?
Thank you. Just like what the listener just mentioned, that she keeps the waste in a bag and other stuff. Yeah. I think that is a good habit that needs to be emulated by all. Once you don't find a refuse dump or you don't find a dustbin, don't just litter around. Fold whatever, put it in your bag. When you get to your destination or wherever you get a dustbin close by, you just deposit it there. And also, those of us who carry waste, now that it's raining, that we carry waste into and throw them into the gutters and the drains. Please, let's stop. In that this is carried to the river body and then it's carried into the sea, from where we all get our fish to eat. So let's all stop this.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kabute. Dr. Chimesi, please, any advice?
Yes, so I will only say that we all have this adage that cleanness is next to godliness. So God is clean and neat. So if you are serving Him, you also have to be clean and neat. So in a way, you need to also keep your environment very well. We need to avoid open defecation. You see, open defecation is one of the major issues in Africa. And Ghana is among some of the best leading open defecation countries in Africa. And it's an issue that all of us have to be worried about. So we need to keep our environment clean. We need to know how to manage our waste. Then we don't need to even generate more waste at all to create issues in our environment. In doing that, I think in our own small way, with our attitudinal change and behavioral change, we will be able to keep our environment clean for us to be safe.
Okay. Thank you so much for your submission.
Okay, so I guess our listeners have learned a lot out there today about how to manage their waste and dispose of some waste. So thank you very much. We are grateful for your submission this evening. So we'd like to clock out. Dr. Kabute, please, do you have any shout outs? Oh, okay. Dr. Chimesi, please, any shout outs?
Yes, to all the integrated science students,
Okay.
our HOD, Dean, and all the listeners, including your team who hosted us for this program.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Doc. Mr. Ahuto, any shout outs?
So shout out to all the listeners out there, and shout out to my parents.
Okay.
Salute.
I also like to give shout out to all the science focused crew. I love you all. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey into the field of waste management.